I love football. I love playing sports. And that's where I found a lot of my identity. You know, that feeling of people like patting you on the back and being like, dang, you're good. I started working hard and believing what other people would tell me about it, especially my dad. He was a football coach. I got a scholarship, and when I got one, then I got a bunch of them. And right, you feel good. It makes you feel like, man, I'm this person. I have this power and this identity behind this ability. I had a girlfriend at the time who would put up with me and do anything I asked. And I just started getting into drinking. And naturally, I'm a very inward person. I like to overthink stuff, and I'm naturally more anxious. I worried, is college gonna work out? Is football gonna work out? It looked like it was gonna work out. It was working out. Okay, great. And then I felt like this isn't enough. Like, I still feel anxious. Now everyone's expecting so much more of me than I know that I can perform or I know that I could do. I don't know what's gonna happen. Football's not enough anymore. The girlfriend's not enough anymore. Partying's not enough anymore. And that was the first time in my life I was like, what is the meaning of my life? And it wasn't enough that I just could play football and that I had friends and I was doing the thing that I loved. I actually tried praying. I just said, God, help me. And that's what I remember saying. I was just like, God, just show up, just help me. I had a teammate of mine who invited me to church, was always inviting me to church. After he just gave an opportunity to be baptized. And I was there with a bunch of my teammates too, as well, that were not born again. And all of a sudden I stood up and I couldn't believe I was standing up, and everyone looks at me. Even my teammates, I felt them. They were like, and I'm just standing there and I couldn't believe that I stood up. From then on, I just had this joy and I cried. I'll never forget how hard I cried. Yeah, that day forward changed everything. I didn't have what the typical Christian would have, right? Like, I didn't know that I was supposed to read my Bible. The best case scenario I had for a Christian was my friend who would get high with me and talk about the Lord and life and like these crazy things, and it's all I had. I didn't know. I was so naive. That was 4 years of college, just kind of going through this period where I say Jesus is Lord. He changed my life, but I didn't know how to walk it out. My worst case scenario was that I would graduate from college and I wouldn't have anything to do, and I just come home and live with my parents, and that's exactly what happened. I'm alone, I'm sitting on a park bench, nothing to do, no purpose. This guy walked past me and he was like, on Wisconsin, you know, the little phrase from the college I went to. I was like, what? I was like, oh yeah, on Wisconsin, man. He's like, well, what are you doing here? I was like, well, I'm just hanging out and I live here now. He's like, great, let's meet up. Let's have breakfast. I'm like, all right, cool, here's my number. End up meeting with him. He's a born again believer. He gets me connected, and that's what I needed. I needed finally that fellowship, the community, and there's where like the Lord just really met me and showed me it was more than just than myself. It was about him. Started going to church, and it wasn't easy, and doing zeal stuff that I felt totally out of place and really uncomfortable. But that laid a groundwork for the Lord to start working in my heart and showing me myself again. And that's how he sanctifies us, is through other people. I find fulfillment every day in knowing that the Lord is going to use me, and not just use me, but he's growing me. Like, whenever I feel anxious, I have to remind myself that God is here, like God is with me. God will fight for me, right? In our weakness, he is strong. And that's when his grace is sufficient for us. One of the most encouraging things to me is that although sometimes it feels like I can't win this battle, it'll never change. You just have to win the victory that he has for you that day by trusting in him.